Sir, you're making this a lot more difficult than it needs to be.
The Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution says I don't have to self-incriminate. You got that?
So you don't want to answer questions then, right, sir?
That's the Fifth Amendment.
Why are you yelling?
I'm yelling because you're not
so
fucking
what are you going to do? Why are you yelling?
Because you're not fucking getting it. I'm telling you what the Constitution.
And I'm asking you for your ID.
And that's a question. I don't answer questions.
So give me your ID.
I'm in handcuffs right now.
Give me your ID.
But I'm not under arrest. In this state, you have to be under arrest to be forced to identify.
Sir, you're being detained right now.
Right, that's right. And
all we asked was your name, sir. That's all we asked.
Texas Penal Code 3802.
So I'm getting this straight. You're refusing to identify yourself.
Because I'm not under arrest yet.
Are you refusing to identify yourself?
I'm refusing to identify because in this state you do not have to identify if you're not.
Sir, that's not the way it goes.
Texas Penal Code 3802. You need to read the law, sir.
Sir, what is your name and date of birth, please?
I am not answering that question. I don't answer questions.
Okay. We'll just place you under arrest for failure to ID.
That is not the law.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Stop reaching in your pockets.
I'm just pulling out my pants, man.
Step right here.
You need to read Texas Penal Code 3802.
You want to identify yourself?
Texas Penal Code 3802. You need to learn the law.
You're under arrest. Failure to ID.
That's not the law, man. I'm not even trying to give you a hard time. That is not the law in this state.
Sir.
So if you're not trying to give me a hard time, so why don't you just provide your ID or your name and date of birth? All we do is just, and then you go on your way.
Deputy,
Deputy, that's all it is.
With all due respect, Deputy, I'm trying to live under the laws of this state and this country. In this state, Texas Penal Code 3802 says I do not have to identify.
If you are a suspicious vehicle in a building that's been closed for over 2 hours now, okay? You're sitting in front of a vehicle that's known for burglaries.
What burglaries? I didn't put burglaries.
I didn't say you did, sir. I said this area is known for burglaries. This is a store. It's been closed for over 2 hours. A lot that's been empty for over 2 hours.
Well, and I'm not saying you can't patrol. I'm not saying all that. All I'm saying is, all I did is I just pulled in. I was just checking the hours of the store.
Sir, if that's true, just give us your name and that's it. And we send you on your way.
I don't see why it has to be so difficult.
That's all it is. And we send you on your way. Whatever you were doing, you can go back and do whatever you're doing.
As you guys can tell, this is a big deal for me. I've dealt with this before.
Yes, sir.
And in this state,
and I've dealt with it before too.
We understand that, sir.
With all due respect, Texas Penal Code 3802 does not say what you are saying. I have to be lawfully under arrest for a primary charge. Texas Penal Code 3802 is a secondary charge.
Okay, sir. Okay, listen to the rationale. Do you understand that the store is closed, right?
Yes, and I have not committed a crime.
No, you have not.
It's a publicly accessible parking lot. I pulled in just now, just to check the hours.
Yes, and we're doing our job by finding out why it is that you're here.
That's a Terry stop.
If it's something else that we can help you with.
But in a Terry stop, I do not.
Not only that, but your car is full of boxes. How do we not know? Like I told you, this area is known for burglaries. Okay, and you are doing a Terry stop. You can investigate all you want. I am not under obligation to answer questions. Now, if you take that as being rude, I apologize. But I'm not trying to disrespect you. So all we're trying to identify is who we're dealing with.
I understand that. All the police have told me that all my life. But I am standing my ground. Texas Penal Code 3802 in this state is very liberal. And it says I do not have to identify unless I am under lawful arrest for a primary charge. That is Texas. You need to read Texas.
Being detained, sir.
No, sir. No, sir. You need to read Texas. I spoke with the sheriff himself. Texas Penal Code 3802. I have read this word for word. I know what I'm talking about. Now, this is a publicly accessible parking lot. I am not trespassing. I drove into a publicly accessible parking lot. It's well lit. I didn't get out of the car. I wasn't walking around casing the windows like in Terry vs. Ohio in 1963.
Sir, we're not even saying that. We're going by and we see a vehicle parked at a place, at a business that's been closed for over 2 hours.
And you have every right to come and investigate. That's a Terry stop.
That's exactly what we're doing, is we're investigating.
This is a Terry stop,
right. So this is in the investigation.
And once I am...
This is part of the investigation.
Right, but that...
Find out who we're dealing with.
Okay, but you have to understand that you're overstepping your authority.
Are you going to provide your name and date of birth?
Sir, is it really necessary? You said you're going to provide it if you get under arrest. If you're under arrest, is it really necessary to go that far?
And my answer to that is you have to have a primary charge. What is the primary charge?
Failure to ID, sir.
No, failure to ID cannot be a primary charge.
Investigation.
Sir, failure to ID is a secondary charge. I'm telling you. Unless you're saying I'm trespassing or burglarizing, unless you have a primary charge, failure to ID cannot be a primary charge. It is a secondary charge. I am dead certain.
3832, Mark Jason.
Finish calling it out already.
Call it up.
They had a lot of traffic.
Everything's
And
close
I'm
for
about to do
your
it now.
needed assistance with a supplement. Gonna connect and call me now.
2350.
I'm George 51.
So is it necessary to go that far, sir?
George 51.
We're not harassing you. We're
Sir,
just we're patrolling our area. Please listen to what I'm saying.
I'm not arguing with that part.
We're patrolling our area.
I'm not arguing with that.
We're trying to. It's crime suppression. Okay, you
Yes,
didn't
sir.
commit a crime.
Thank you for your service. I'm not arguing with that.
And like my partner said, you're here in a parking lot. This is for a business that's been closed for 2 hours.
First one,
Okay.
Okay, we roll up. You see a vehicle here.
Yes.
You see boxes in there. That's fine. And all we ask, we're just going to check you and then send you on your way.
The Fourth Amendment protects me from unreasonable searches and seizures.
We're not searching you, sir.
My papers and effects. My papers is my driver's license. My papers. You understand? The Fourth Amendment protects my papers.
Your ID is issued by the state.
My ID is considered a paper. The lawyers and courts have decided that.
Sir, then you can decide in court. Okay, we're not in court right now.
So you're going to punish me by putting me through the process I shouldn't have to go through. That is not what you swore an oath to. Texas Penal Code 3802 is a secondary charge.
Checking a vehicle. 15061 Horizon. Oh, Texas King Tom Paul. 2801.
But it's not necessary to go that far, sir.
Also, I'll get a history on that 28.
Oh, well, a guy like me it is. Okay? I don't think you've dealt with someone like me before. And I've had too many problems. That's why I left the state of Louisiana. Because they have a charge there called resisting an officer where I've been arrested many times.
Well, see, right now is you're interfering with our duties.
Oh, no.
You know?
Texas Penal Code 38.15.
Okay, sorry.
I've already been arrested for that. I already know about that one too.
I know you have.
Okay, so you already know me.
Huh? I don't know you. I don't know what your name and date of birth is.
Well,
If I knew that, then I'd have already had it and I'd have run it.
All right.
So if you're not going to provide that,
What I want to see is, I want to see if you have a primary charge to arrest me for before you...
primary charge.
Primary charge?
I don't need a primary charge.
Yes, sir, you do. I'm not trying to be hard with you. I'm trying to live by the law here. That is the law in this state.
You're making it a lot more difficult than it has to be.
You know what? They all say that.
Well, it's true, sir. It is true.
But you have to understand.
We're here checking the business. You're in a business that's closed. Okay? So when you see us pull up, but then you try to take off.
No, I didn't try to take off. I was actually leaving because I'm like, oh, well, I guess that they're thinking maybe I'm trying to do something here. You have the wrong idea. I wasn't trying to take off.
See, you know what, sir? We don't know that. I don't know you. We don't know what you're here for. You understand? So all we're doing is just checking it. If you check okay, send you on your way. Wherever it is you're gonna go do. If you're collecting boxes, then so be it. So be it.
Where do they run this up to?
No, I wasn't collecting boxes. I have those boxes from other places.
That's fine.
That's negative.
All we want to do is just check you and send you on your way, sir. That's all we're trying to do. That's reasonable, don't you think?
I understand where you're coming from. But you have to understand, this is a big deal for me. I do not have to ID unless I'm being arrested for a primary charge.
We're in no way trying to harass you in any way.
But you need to understand what the legislature in Austin has written in Texas Penal Code 3802 is that unless I am under a lawful arrest, that means there has to be a primary charge.
14716 Horizon Drive-In, Horizon City.
Then I can be charged with Texas Penal Code 3802 violation if once under arrest at the jailhouse I refuse to ID. That is the law.
Approximately 25 to 30 years of detention.
2254.
I understand you may have issues in the past as far as people being confronted by officers. But we're not trying to confront you, sir. You weren't walking on the street. You weren't down the street.
This isn't anything personal, okay?
Okay.
I don't think that you're harassed. I actually believe you're doing your job. This is Terry v. Ohio, 1968. You are patrolling. You have the lawful authority to have a police presence, come up to a building that's, empty and be like, hey, what's going on here? Everything you're doing is lawful up to the point where you're demanding my ID.
We asked you, sir.
Okay, but you're asking me with handcuffs. That's coercion, okay? Now I'm under
sir, we asked you prior to putting the handcuffs on you. You escalated it to this point.
I did not escalate. I refused to answer questions under the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment allows me to not answer questions. That is the United States Constitution. You have to understand, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm living within the bounds of the law here. I understand that you think that I'm being disrespectful or hard to deal with, but that is the law, sir. This is the law of the land. Okay, both of you took an oath to the laws of the United States and the state of Texas. I know these particular laws by heart because I've dealt with this situation many times. Now, unless you actually are charging me with trespassing, or burglary, or something like that, there is no primary charge. I do not have to ID.
So you really want to take it that far, sir?
You have to understand, Deputy, that this is way bigger than just what's going on tonight. This has been a lifelong issue for me. And that's why I moved to this state. Because in this state, I do not have to ID unless I'm under arrest for a primary charge.
So this is a small part we paying lifetime.
Return on Texas BL 2670-8697, Class C Charles. Expires date of birth 2020. Date of birth will be 1982-1127.
Have you the picture? Subject.
I have a question for you.
Well, check it out, it's 2356.
Me or him?
For you, I'll ask him as well. But my first question is to you, and that is your body cam running?
It is. That's why I don't understand why you're making it harder than what it is, sir. You do agree that we're here, you do agree that we're patrolling our area.
That is lawful, yes.
And we do need to understand who we're dealing with when we make a stop, sir.
Right. Articulated, reasonable suspicion to stop someone is a Terry v. Ohio stop. Okay? I'm not arguing with that part. But then once you demand ID in this state, you have to already have probable cause for a primary charge. Do you have probable cause for a primary charge? That's the question.
Or you made it that way when you refused to ID yourself.
No, sir. You are claiming you have probable cause for failure to ID, but that is not how it works in this state. You cannot have probable cause for that statute until you have a probable cause for a primary.
Well, you're a suspicious subject, sir.
That is not a statute.
I understand what you're saying. It's not a statute, okay? But that gives us further investigation.
Exactly, and that's what Terry v. Ohio is. That's why I'm here in handcuffs. This is a Terry stop.
Well, if I can confirm who you are,
1022.
we wouldn't be here.
Okay, well,
you would have been gone a long time ago, sir.
and you know what? No disrespect, but that's what all the law enforcement I've dealt with throughout my life, in and outside of Texas, has said. You're making this hard on yourself. You would have been gone. But you have to understand that for me, this is a big deal. I do not want to surrender my papers unless the law forces me to, unless the law mandates that I'm supposed to.
So therefore, you're grouping every single law officer in the same category.
I wish you wouldn't look at it like that, because
that's what it feels like. But I mean,
well,
that's your
again,
opinion.
you shouldn't take it personally.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm just like, whatever situation that you've dealt with, now you brought it to this situation, and which is not
in an adversarial way, not in like I hate you, so fuck you or anything like that. It's just like I'm trying to live within the bounds of the law, including the protections. Mm-hmm. Now, in this state, you do not have to identify, like I said, unless there's a probable cause for a primary charge. For example, if you have a probable cause for DWI or, like I said, trespassing, burglary, anything, then, yes, if I did not identify at that point, I would be in violation of a second charge, Texas Penal Code 3802, failure to identify. That is Texas Penal Code 3802.
Lucille, Phonetic, Lincoln Union, Charles, Ida, Ocean.
I get it. You feel strongly about what you're standing up for. I get it.
Okay.
But I do, I mean, you see my side of it too, right?
Well, I understand that this is where everything comes together, everything comes to a head. Law enforcement is trying to keep the public safe and work within the bounds of the law as you see them.
Even trying to keep you safe as well.
Right. And then now someone like me, who's standing on technicalities of the law, you don't know what to do because you're like, well, we're just trying to protect this building from burglars. So I don't know what to say about that. All I know is the Texas legislature wrote the law the way they did, and I'm trying to live within it.